Yeah, good.
So good morning, friends.
Good morning.
So hope you are doing fine.
And
So today we are going to talk about my journey with English. So whenever you start any journey, any new journey, so you have many apprehensions about that. My journey was about English started very feeble. It started very at low level, and it had lots of ups and downs. So I was educated in Hindi medium. So my family background was also very humble. I did not have many resources, so I could not actually even think of the English medium schools at that time. So I started like at home when you were not going to school. So you start with your family itself. So there was no one in the family to start in English at that point of time. And nobody was even thinking about that, like we should go to some English medium schools and all. So even my neighbors and my family members, like they were not aware of the English language. So I started going to school, but there is a, like in school you learn A, B, C, D and all. Right? So, but the teacher used to say is, okay, join the dotted lines, and this is A. Join these dotted lines, this is C. And C is for cat and A is for apple, right? So this is how we all start. We all do a start like this, right? And that was a good start, right? But then it was all a linear growth, I would say. Because it was an Hindi medium, no focus was on English, right? So everybody was like, okay, you are doing something, you are studying, that is all fine. So till I would say 8th class, I was studying in local school, and till 8th class, like you are mature enough to understand the things, to understand the what is happening around you. So one of my friends, like he said, why don't we switch the schools? I said no, let it be. It is very comfortable, right? Even I was not about to switch the school. But then we all talked, we were like 4 or 5 close friends, and then our parents were also involved somehow. And then he said, okay, uncle, why can't we shift our schools, right? Because he was very motivated about switching to a new school and having some new learning. Okay, then we decided like we will go to Vidya Mandir school. That was one of the best schools available at that point of time. And that Vidya Mandir school was getting operated in Hindi medium and English medium. So it was around 10 kilometers from my home in sector 15. So the fees was also high. Like here, whatever fees we were paying, it was 4 times higher. So we went there with our parents and joined that school, but in Hindi medium, not in English medium. Right? So, yeah, the things were fine. We were getting a new environment as such. But the growth of English was still linear. And then, till then, I studied in Vidya Mandir. Then my father took another initiative for me. He said, why don't you switch the school now? I said, I have already switched the school 2 years back. Why should I switch now? Right? I was kind of resisting with keeping my friends, right, and the same school, the same environment. I did not want it to change. But because of one of the family members, like, who was already studying in one of the higher schools called MBN, I tried to switch there. But they said, you are from Hindi medium, right? So do you know, like, can you cover up? So my father said confidently, yeah, he'll cover up. But I was not confident at that time, right? But because of the marks, even after getting the marks, like, the principal was not sure whether he'll cover up or not. So he took an exam from me. Fortunately, I cleared that exam, and I was sent to that school MBA. When I joined the MBA school, there were 4 sections available for 11th class. I choose non-medical. So in that four sections, the lower there were like A, B, C, and C plus, something like that. In the three sections, A, B, and B plus. I was given section A. Section A, like when I met the people around me, the students around me, so they were actually very active students. They were talking in English. They joined FITG, and they were doing lots of preparation for IITC and all. But I was kind of unaware about all of these, what is happening. So I tried to like mingle with them, and then they used to say, A is for ability section. I said, what is ability section? Then I came to know from the teacher that A is the lowest section, who has got the lowest marks in the whole 11th class.
Oh, ability section.
Yeah, ability section. But students used to say it is the ability section, and they were very cheerful about that. So I observed that the section B and B plus, they were very, seems to be very mature. Maybe I did not mingle with them. I did not talk to them much. But later on, like after 1 month, I came to know that this is the lowest section, and the people here, the students here might not be good. Since I was academically fine, but not talking much to the people, children around there, and that school was entirely English medium, so that was a drastic change for me, right? So that year was very difficult for me. And even if I talk about like earlier classes, class 9, we had Sanskrit. So all my languages, including English, Hindi, and Sanskrit, like I had a crunch on them. I could not hold them, right? So my science was good, my maths was good, even my SST was okay, but my languages were not good. So I did not have any hold of them. Even I got a first failure in Sanskrit language, which is the most scoring language that we ever had. Right? English was fine, like I did not get any failure, but languages in particular, I could not concentrate much. So came 11th class, new environment, new maths, right? New school itself, and new books that I could not read properly. And my father was not very affluent, so I could not get tuitions as well. He said, yeah, you can take tuitions and all, but I said no, let it be. I am already paying this much amount as fees, so let it be. I don't want to have any tuitions. So I studied very hard in 11th class. So that was the year when I started to work very hard. Okay. So even the English teacher used to say, you come from Vallabhgarh. Yes, I said, yes, I come from Vallabhgarh. So she said, still remember, she said, I think we have to call STD for Vallabhgarh.
Okay.
STD. It's not a local call. I said, no, it's not the case. It's not the STD, but it is a local call. Okay. So she was thinking like I'm coming far away.
From any village.
Yeah, from any village kind of thing. And my behavior was also might be like not sounding like the way the other students were. So I was a bit different from them. But then I tried very hard. I did not like slept till 1 a.m. I was doing very hard work here. Still, I was not able to grasp everything. Right? Again, my technical expertise, I did best in chemistry. I did best in physics. I did good in mathematics, but not in English. English was still a major challenge for me. But I used to read as much as I could. My English teacher once said, to be able to grasp any language, you have to observe. So for example, whenever you come from your home to school, observe around. Don't sit idle. Right? What are the objects? What are the companies over there? Like what is in the bus? What people are doing? How we are behaving? Right? It all matters, and you should have an observatory power. So I started developing that observatory power. Right? So I started observing the other students, how they are doing. Many of the students were going to Delhi to take some coaching. I could not afford it, so I thought these are not the grades that I want to have. So I got one of my friends like me here in Ballabad itself. That was from other section. So
Company you got.
yeah, I got a company fortunately, and he was a topper in Haryana board, and he was admitted to section B. Then one day, there was some kind of assessment in the middle of 11th class, and I did very good in chemistry. So chemistry teacher, she was very impressive kind of thing that I have developed so much skills in chemistry, but I am not able to speak well. She advised me that you do some hard work, do best in exams, and I'll talk about you to take you and there was one more guy to some other section of it. So we both did well in the exam, and we were switched to section B, not B plus. B plus was a topper. We don't know. We knew that we were not able to we will not be able to compare them. So section B was very talented in terms of ability section. So ability section did not have such abilities. So we switched to section B, and that was very good. People around that were very good.
Elite.
Yeah. Elite. So again, English was again a challenge, but we started to overcome them. Because we knew that if we could not do anything, we are sure to have failures. But at the end of what happened was there was a maths teacher in section B who used to say, take tuitions from me. I said, sir, I cannot take tuitions, so I'm sorry for that. So I sat there in the exam. So he knew that, okay, whatever the case is. Then the results came, and I was failed in mathematics. So I did not have courage to go to principal. I just had my father with me. My father said, let's discuss with principal what happened. So he discussed with principal. The principal called that maths teacher and said, okay, show me his mark sheets. So that was a very interesting incident. And maths teacher came and he said, okay sir, let me see the mark sheets. Then after 15 minutes he came back, sir, I think mark sheets have lost for this student.
Okay.
I mean, question, the answer sheet is lost for this student. So I cannot do much about that. But we have all the records, right? So you can see the marks of the student is very less. I said this can be less, but this cannot be this much less. I just said to my father. Then my father told my principal that the same thing, that it can be less, but it cannot be a failure. Because in mathematics he is fine. In English you can assume he is passing the marks. Right, so he said to another maths teacher, take his exam right now, or give him 1 day to prepare and then take his exam tomorrow. So he prepared for exam. I also prepared the whole night that day. Right, I was very worried about my results. Right, but fortunately, the next day when the exam was there, right, I did well in that exam, and I was made pass in 11th class. Then I went to 12th class, again the same thing. People who were competing with me got more competitive because of the competitive exams. I was still like trying my best, doing some hard work, and English was one of the barriers. I tried to overcome them. I got average marks in 12th exams, like board exams, around 80% or so. Again, the marks in English were quite less. The other exams were quite okay. Then we started preparing for engineering classes. I did qualified for one of the engineering exams. And then I did not have any guidance like which engineering exam to take and which, like I did not qualify for IITs, but I did qualify for some Haryana exams. Right? So which stream to take, I was not sure. I did not have any guidance. And then I took some, like I was selected and I took one of the colleges here in Haryana itself. Then all of the sudden, like again it was a linear path. English was never into my mind again because I got admission and everything is fine. So why to worry about English? Then in the final year, what happened was, in final year, there were lots of company placements and all that started to happen. I could not be placed somehow. Because whenever I sit in the exam was clear, but interview was right. So people were taking some BPO exams. They were clearing it. They were very extroverts. So at that time, I heard about introverts versus extroverts. Right. So I realized that I am very introvert. I cannot like do like the way these people are doing. So that happened. Like I could not get the job at that point of time. And I had set in mind like, okay, let me not grasp the job at this point. Let me prepare for something else. Okay, I'm not kind of doing a job in BPO at all. Let me do something else. I asked my family members, okay, I want to do some competitive exams, I want to sit there. They said, okay. I cleared some of the exams, but again during the second part of the exams, I could not cover it. So it's almost 1 year after my final exams. I could not either, like I was not looking for a job at that point of time. And I could not clear any major exams so as to crack. So my father came to me and said, why don't you try a job now? Because time is running and you should do something now. So it was actually a heart-melting moment for me. So I said, okay, I will just keep them aside. I will start looking for a job. Within 2 months, I got a job in Gurgaon. That was a contract job itself. And then again, like within those 2 months, there were 2 challenges that I faced. One was the technological, and the other one was facing English. So technology-wise, so there was a strategy, right? So everybody used to say, you have a job in this particular field, just prepare for that and get the interview. This field is this particular field is very hot. Like .NET is very hot, Oracle is very hot. Why don't you study that? I started studying that. Then somebody else came. Okay, why don't you study Java? Okay, I started to study Java. Why don't you study .NET? Oh yeah, there is a job in .NET. Why don't you study that? I started studying .NET. Oh my God, what the shit is going on? I am not able to concentrate any of these, right? So I decided I will grasp a particular language. I will only give interviews on that. I started Java because Java I had studied somehow in my college. I started Java and then I grasped the Java concepts. They got a little clear and then I gave some interviews. I got very low level job to start with. I could not actually afford my commute. with that job. I said okay. Meanwhile, like just before that, since I was preparing for some competitive exams, so that was the era when I actually learned English. How I learned English? I said, okay, what comes in competitive exams? So I got to know that there are maybe 2-3 things that comes. One is general knowledge. Right? The other one is you have to select some subjects and you have to master those subjects. So general knowledge, what is general knowledge? So initially I had a thought like general knowledge is current affairs. But current affairs is not a general knowledge. There is a clear distinction between general knowledge and current affairs. Current affairs is a part of general knowledge and it's not entirely general knowledge. So that was the year actually. That was 1 year that I focused on general knowledge. I started to improve my English skills. That's why I did not face any major challenges during the interviews as well. So what did I do in that 1 period? I start from class 6 textbooks. I purchased NCERT textbooks for class 6 first. I started to study social science. I started to study science that I had studied in Hindi also, right? But I forgot the concepts and all. So I revised all the concepts starting from class 6, class 7, class 8, class 9, class 10. I repeated all the subjects. That was the time I realized these were not difficult actually. I was having a fear from these textbooks which I could have already read them. Right? So in this year I have studied 5 classes, all the textbooks at this time. Why could not I study at that time? It's because I had fear. I had fear from English. Right? I was not able to concentrate on 11th class because of English. Right? I did not study English, so the other subjects in for 11th and 12th because that was like too expanded, and it might not be useful for me. Right? I cannot do anything and everything, but I have to start from some point, and I have to finish till some point. I also enrolled in MA Political Science from IGNOU, so that I could get some books. Right? So I enrolled those and I started studying the history of political science. What is political science? That was actually the period when I not only realized that English is important, but also the current affairs and the theories are also important. Theories in the sense like what is democracy? What is autocracy? Who was Hitler? Like, how the world is changing? Because I had no knowledge about it. Even though the subjects were taught to me, I had no concentration. It was just to pass the exam. But during that 1 year, I did my best. I applied all my efforts to get that knowledge. I studied newspapers. I studied The Hindu. I studied Times of India. I studied some of the magazines. I studied all the NCERTs. I started with all basic things. I aspired to take some coaching, but I could not take that coaching due to some reasons. But that period showed me there is lots to the world that I was actually thinking of. But somehow due to some emotions and other problems, I started to think of the job again because we needed some money, right? Everybody needs some money, right? And I got the job, but I was not satisfied with the job. I got certain chances to develop something. I even showed the fake experiences to get that job. But when I got that job, I was not satisfied what I am doing here. Then the company was very small, and they were making some educational softwares. So I was just a part of that. Then I switched the job, and then I switched 2 jobs after that. And this job, like, I'm doing it comfortable, but later on I realized, like, my English is not yet good enough to crack any interviews. That's why I'm lacking behind somewhere. Recently, even though like, my English is okay now, I'll not say it's very good or very bad, but I need an improvement based on the last interview I had, which was the biggest failure. So I cleared all the technical rounds. There were 4 technical rounds. I cleared all of them. Like, there was no question that I could not answer. Even if they, like, we had certain questions, but I answered them very diligently to get them passed. But the HR round I could not pass. I was told, like, HR round is the easiest round that we have. Right? They negotiate on salaries and they negotiate on the other aspects. I was very confident that I don't need to prepare for this. But somehow I was not. That made me to think again. Is there something that I need to work on myself? So the answer came from within. Yes, you need to work on yourself because you cannot deliver any speeches anywhere within your company. Even you don't want to be photographed, you don't want to be videographed, even in the family functions, you are always on the back side of the camera. I always say, like, can I click the photograph for you? But I can never say, please photograph me. So I had to overcome this fear. And this was a great challenge that came from within myself. I joined some other classes as well, but I could not find the right audience there. I recently left those classes, like I joined there for a month or so. And then I'm here with you, working again very hard to learn English. And here is what I am and my story with English and my life story. So, thank you.
And